The evolution of Formula One's air intake. The air intake, also known as an airbox, has been an iconic component of F1 cars for many years. The airbox and intake system govern the maximum amount of air pumped by the engine, and therefore the amount of fuel it can burn and the level of power it can produce. The air intake we see above the driver's head is just the tip of the iceberg with regards to the engine's inlet system. At high speed, the air is pushed into the hole above the driver's head and down into a hollow tube that opens out to a horn shape at its base, where the air filter is situated. The dynamic pressure created by the car's velocity means that air arrives at the air filter at a higher pressure than atmospheric pressure. An efficient air horn will keep as high a percentage of this dynamic pressure as possible before the air meets the air filter. At the inception of F1, the engines of the cars were mounted in front of the driver, so the airbox was front-mounted too. The exact lineage of the overhead airbox is difficult to pin down. There were some experimental Ferrari cars in the 1960s that tested an overhead design, but photos of these cars are difficult to come by. The first race appearance of the overhead air intake was on the Matra team cars at the 1970 Mexican Grand Prix, the last of the season. The cars, driven by Jean-Pierre Beltoise and Henri Pescarolo, finished 5th and 9th respectively. Not their best result of the season, but it did show that the concept would work. The following season was won by Jackie Stewart for Tyrrell. His car, unlike some of his opponents' cars, had an overhead airbox. In 1972, almost all the cars on the grid came equipped with the design, as shown on this graphic. The Eifelland car stood out as it featured an air intake directly in front of the driver. This did not catch on. Throughout the 1970s, when the technical regulations were far less stringent than they are today, several teams tried out some quite crazy designs. One example is the 1976 Brabham Alfa Romeo BT45, with 2 air intakes either side of the driver. Another is this 1976 Ligier Matra JS5 with this enormous airbox. In the 1980s, the overhead airbox disappeared from the sport, with side intakes being the preferred option, although smaller intakes next to the driver's heads were also used. It was not until the 1990s that the overhead design returned. It then became a mainstay of the regulations all the way to the present day. In recent years, we have seen some innovation with oval designs, triangular designs, and even designs with multiple intakes. Thank you for watching. Are there any other elements of an F1 car you think we could explore? Remember to leave a comment, like and subscribe for plenty more racing details to come.